Okay, today is November 8th, 2011. We're going to work on lesson 4.6. So, our objective today is going to be calculating the price index. This is our formula, which is the comparison year, so the year we're trying to compare, the price then, subtracted by the base year, divided by the base year will give you the percentage change from one price to the next. Okay, we're going to try to make sense of that formula. You guys need to know what a price index is, or price indices, and the base year. Definition of both those words is on page 234, okay? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through the graph they've given us. This is the CPI, so Consumer Price Index in Canada, from 1990 to year 2006. So what this is the price of general goods, okay? We're going to compare the prices over the years from 90 to 2006. We're going to try to make sense of all this. So, very first thing we're going to do, base year. It'll help whenever you're trying to find percentage change if you use a base year that has a price index of 100. It'll make it the easiest. So what base year had a price index of 100? And this is our price index, so the CPI, and these are our years. Which year had price index of 100? 02. Okay? So 2002, we're going to use that as the base year, okay? It's very important that you always remember what year you've used as the base year. You can change what you want to be the base year, but it is, again, easiest if you use 100 for your base year. It becomes very simple to calculate percentage changes. Yeah, if you could find 100. Now, 100 might not be an option, so you'll have to use something else as a base year. It'll be the same types of formulas. But for now, we're going to start off easy. Base year is the year 2002, okay? So our base year will be 2002, and the CPI in that year is 100, okay? Very first question says, what is the base year for CPI? Okay, so our base year is 2002. Our CPI is 100 in that year. That is our question A. We already solved it. Question B. B is asking us, in what year was the cost of a basket of goods about 90% of the base year? Okay, so we're going to use our formula. We're looking for the comparison year, okay? And what has happened is we've had a percentage change of what? Since we're looking for a CPI of 90. Does anyone know what the percentage change is from 100 to 90? 10. Good. So we're subtracting 10%. Okay? That's our percentage change. And you know what? We'll rewrite the formula so you guys can see it on here. This is the same formula right here that we have written out there. We're looking for percentage change. Comparison year. Subtract base year. Divided by base year. Comparison. Okay. So we said that our percentage change, we went down from 100 to 90. So that's a drop of 10%. Okay. We're dropping 10%. If we were to put 10% as a decimal, it would be 0.1. Okay. Our comparison year, we have to solve for it. We don't know what our comparison year is. We do know our base year. It's going to be 2002, and the CPI in that year is going to be what? 100. So the CPI in our base year, we already established, was 100. And in the formula, we use base year twice. We're looking for a comparison year, so we can call that our X if we like. Okay? Now, I'm working with a fraction on the left side here. I'm not sure why I put a decrease here. We have a fraction on the left side of the equal sign. We want to get rid of the fraction. So I'm going to move the 100 to the other side. And because it was division before, it's going to become multiplication. Is equal to negative 0.1 times 100. We move the 100 over to the other side of the equation. Okay? When we do that, we have negative 0.1 times 100, get negative 10. Sorry, guys. Let's just recap here. Gentlemen, sorry. The percentage change we're looking for, we did decrease by 10, but we actually want the CPI. So we're looking for our CPI of 90. Okay? Actually, this is a ridiculous way to do this. All right, there's a much easier way. Let's do it this way. I want you guys to go look up at the graph. We'll revisit it after. I didn't think it through. Okay, we're looking for a decrease of 10%. So when the CPI is 90% of 100, what number will we be looking for on the graph? 90. Okay, so what year are we looking for when we look over on our graph for years? What year? Halfway between 94 and 98? 96, okay? We're looking for the year 1996. That's when our price index will be 90% of our base year. Okay? So it would have been 8 years before. I'm not sure why I did this that way. I've got to revisit that. For B, we're looking for year 1996. For question B. Okay, so like we said, we had to calculate what 90% of 100 was, and we figured out it was the number 90. So our percentage change, we're looking for the number 90. When I brought 100 over, it was 100 multiplied by 90. I realize why I think this was a funny way of doing it. 90 by 100 gives us 9,000. Okay? That still doesn't work. Why isn't this formula working? So, our CPI in year 1990 is 79. Our base year is year 2002, and it's 100. So according to our formula, to find the percentage change, we take our comparison year, the price index in that year, which is 79. We subtract the base year, and then divide by our base year. So 79, subtract 100. Negative 21. Divided by 100. When we divide this by 100, negative 0.21. Now, this is as a decimal. If I want to change this into a percentage, what do I have to do? Yes, we need to multiply by 100, which is the complete opposite of what we just did, just because the base index was that year. We multiply by 100 to change this into a percentage, and we end up with negative 21%. So what that means is in the year 1991, things were 21% cheaper than they were in the year 2002. Okay? So the next example we're going to do is we're going to compare the year 1996 to the year 2006. Okay? So my CPI in year 2006 looks like it's about 109 is our CPI. Okay? And that's in year 2006. We can write that as a coordinate. Our X value is 2006. Our CPI is 109 in that year. In the year 1996, we look like we have 96. Oh, sorry, I should say 1996. The CPI is 90, okay? So, the year I'm comparing, I want to know what the change was from 1990 to 2006. So, since I'm going up to 2006, does anyone know which will be my base year? What year will be my base year? Sorry? Got one or the other? Try the other one. Okay. 1996 we're going to use as our base year. Okay, so this will be our new base year. Because we're going to be talking about a percentage increase. If I was talking about a percentage decrease going down from 2006, then 2006 would have been our base year. But since I want to find the percentage increase from 96 to 2006, 10 years later, my base year will be 1996. So we're going to look for percentage increase from 1996 to 2006. Okay? So we remember our formula, our percentage change. We take our comparison year and we subtract the base year. 2006. Okay? So, our CPIs in the 2 years. In 96, we knew our CPI was 90. And in 2006, it's 109, the CPI. So when we go to find out the percentage change, how much prices have changed percentage-wise, our comparison year, which is 109, subtracted by our base year, which is 90, divided by our base year, which is 90. Okay? So we take 109, subtract 90, equals 19. We have 19 divided by 90. Divide 90. 0.21. So 0.21 repeated. We'll just round it to that. Now this is a decimal, and I need to change it into a percent. So what do I need to do to change it into a percent? Okay, we need to multiply it by 100. Okay, and since we have to change it into a percent, we're going to put that into our formula from now on. What is our percentage change in price? When we multiply this by 100, 21.1 or 21%. So in 10 years, the price of a good has changed 21%. So in other words, to make sense of that, if you were buying a home, let's say, let's go back to that actually. If you were buying a home and that home sold for, let's say, $300,000 in 1996, so a house cost $300,000 in 1996. What would the cost be, or sorry, what would the value be in 2006? How do I solve this? We multiply 0.21, we multiply the percentage change. We know the percentage change is 21%. So we take the number, 300,000. I can multiply it by 0.21. So we have 0.21 times 300,000, 63,000. What do I do with that number now? Is that the answer? Okay. So we know that that's how much the price is going to increase by. That's a 21% change. So we add it to our original price of 300,000 plus the 63,000 And the price of a home in the year 2006 would be or at least the value, $361,000. So if you had bought a home in 1996, the value of your home would increase from $300,000 to $363,000. So in the course of 10 years, you made $63,000 on the investment. Another way you could have solved that, okay? Instead of just multiplying by 0.21, we could have got our answer right off the bat if we multiply by 1.21. So if we had taken 300,000, multiplied by 1.21, we would have got our answer right away, $363,000. Okay, percentage change in CPI from 2001 over the course of 5 years. So when I go to look at this, I got to find my CPI in year 2001. Looks like it's 97? Sure, we're going to use the number 97, okay? Now, I got to find the course of 5 years from 2001. So what that means is from 2001, I have to go back 5 years. So we're looking at what year in this case? 1996. When I go to 1996, we know our CPI is 90. We're comparing to the year 1996 and 2001. Since it was over the course of 5 years, we want to know the change in price. So, our base year, we can state this two different ways. They haven't told us which one to use. I can use either 1996 as my base year, or I can use 2001 as my base year. But when I go to write my answer out, I have to define which I used as my base year and what the change was. So, I will show you how to do both of these. Yes. May not. So in this question, we're going to talk about if we use two different base years. The first example, we'll have 96 as our base year, and the second example, we'll have 2001. In 96, our CPI was 90, and in 2001, it was 97. So we're going to have different base years for both of these, okay? Our percentage change is equal to the number 100 times the comparison year. A comparison year is the year that's not our base year. So in this case, it's 97. Subtract 90, which is our base year, divided by 90. Okay? Percentage change in our other example is the number 100 times. Our comparison year in this one is 96. So 90 subtract 97 divided by 97. Okay? I'm going to show you how these change our answers. So, if I were to use 97 subtract 90, we get 7 divided by 90. Our other example, we get 100 multiplied by negative 7 divided by 97. If you guys notice, because I used a different base year, we're going to end up with different percentage changes because of our base year. So it's very important that if you're going to define what your base year was, okay? I may ask you to choose your own. Not if you explain it. I'll work on that. So 7 divided by 90. We get 0.07 repeated. We'll say 78. In our other example, we have 100. We have negative 7 divided by 97. Which gives us a very different answer. Negative 0.72. Whoops, sorry. Forgot a 0 in there. We have to multiply both of them by 100 to turn it into a percentage. So in our second example, we have a decrease of 7.2%, while in our first example, when we had 0.078 times 100, we have an increase of 7.8%. These are two very different answers, okay? So because we said we wanted a percentage change in CPI in year 2001, there we go. In year 2001, I want you guys to define what you used as your base year in this example. Because I didn't tell you which one to use as the base year, it's important you guys are able to communicate what you used. So in our first example, we used base year 1996. So in 1996, so from the year 1996, and we're going to say in brackets base year 1996, we had a percentage of 7.8% increase in the CPI. So from 1996, base year 96, we had a 77.8% increase in our CPI. From 1996, I should say to what year, sorry, to 2001. In this case, we used base year 2001. We had, because we are going from 96 to 2001, even though we calculate our base year as year 2001, remember we're going up in price, okay? So even though we found a negative number, if I'm going from 96 to 2001, we know that our price increased. Even though we used our base year as 2001, because the price increased, we're going to be using an increase interval. So our percentage is going to increase by 7.2% in the CPI. Well, because we used a different base year, we had a much different percentage, okay? We are comparing things to 2001 prices, and in the other one, we are comparing things to 1996 year prices. So your base year is very important. You guys need to define, if it's not in the question, what you've used as your base year. So we're going to do another example similar to this. So, in this question, I'm going to give you two questions here. A, I want you to compare Toronto prices to Oslo. Toronto CPI to Oslo's. Let me say this is the price of clothing, okay? And I want you to do it in Toronto, or in dollars, I guess. In Toronto dollars, or else I say Toronto as your base. Toronto as your base. For B, I want you guys to compare Delhi CPI to Tokyo. And I want you to use both. One as your Delhi as your base. So I'll call that part one. And the other one, I want to use Tokyo as your base. So give that a try right now. Okay, finally. There we go. So we need to compare Toronto CPI to Oslo's. Okay? So we have Oslo, which is 14.4, and Toronto's is 73.8. We want to use Toronto as our base. So we know our formula, which is our percentage change, okay, is equal to our comparison year, or our comparison price, which is 114.4. Subtract our base, which is 73.8, divided by our base, which is 73.8 again. So we take 114.4, subtract 73.8, 40.6. We divide by what we had as our base year, 73.8. We get 0.55. Times 100. We have a 55% change. So what does that mean in terms of prices from Toronto to Oslo? How much more expensive or how much cheaper are prices in Oslo? Okay, so what that means is in comparison to Toronto's prices, they are 55% increase in price. So let's say something was, to make sense of this, something cost you $80 in Toronto. A 50% increase means half of that added on top. So half of 80 is $40. Now I know we said 55, but this is a comparison. Let's say it was 50%, just to make sense of that. A 50% increase, we take 50% of 80, we know that's half of it, so it's 40. So the price of something in, let's say if it was Oslo, was just 50% on average. If it cost $80 in Toronto, it would cost you $120 in Oslo. Okay? Now there's a big difference between Delhi and Tokyo prices when you use two different price bases. Okay? Let's quickly do those two. We have Delhi's price, 43.8, and Tokyo, which is 148.1. Okay? 43.8, which is our Delhi price. Tokyo was 148.1, is that right? Okay. Same idea. We're looking for percentage change. We'll use our first one where our base is our Delhi price. Okay? So percentage change is going to be the number 100 multiplied by our comparison year, which is 148.1. Subtract 43.8. All divided by 43.8. 148.1 subtract 43.8 equals divided by 43.8 and times 100. The percentage increase in Delhi price, 238%. So, in terms of a price, what that means, if something costs you $10 in Delhi, to figure out what it would cost us in Tokyo, we multiply by 2.38. So $10 by 2.38. It would cost you $23.80 in Tokyo for the same object. Okay? So the difference in prices is very large between those two cities, especially in terms of New Delhi's price. Okay? If you use the base of Tokyo, it's a little different. Do we have time for this?